All right. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for being here. I'm sure you got a lot of questions coming off the bye week, so we'll just go right in for questions.
BJ, what were you looking to do during the bye week, and what do you feel your team has accomplished?
Yeah, very similar to the first bye week. Pretty different for the coaches, but in general, one, you got to be able to get healthy. Two bye weeks is really beneficial for a football team, mentally, physically, and emotionally for their health. Seasons are getting longer. I think our guys did a really good job of that. And not only that, we had to get better at the things we needed to get better at with some self-scout, but it gave us a lot more time to work on Penn State as well and get a jump start on that. In terms of the recruiting piece, last bye week we were all out recruiting. This bye week, maybe one or two guys went out here and there, but other than that, we kept everybody in the office, and I thought we had a really productive week of not only working on Penn State, working ahead, working on ourselves, but having some of the coaches, good thing they got Friday afternoon and Saturday to be able to spend some time with their families, and that's always really important to me. So I thought it was a really productive week.
If you're going to get more consistent play from your offensive and defensive lines in these final few weeks, what's got to change?
Well, I think it's a give and take. I think everybody wants consistency on their offense and defensive line, and we're no different than anybody else when you want that. And then what's going to give when you go, on Saturday afternoon for 3 hours and 20 minutes. I think what we have to be able to do is, I think we're playing really well at times up front on both sides of the ball. But I think it's just the attention to detail within the fundamentals of the technique. When we don't play our best football, it's our pad level, it's our first step, it's our hand placement, it's our eyes. If we can get that consistent over a long period of time, their effort, how hard they play, it's so fun to watch our film, win or lose after a game, because it has nothing to do with effort, ever. It has to do with the smaller, integral pieces of that. The margin for errors to winning in the Big Ten are really, really small, and they're going to continue to be really small. So we have to do a really good job of closing that gap every single week. But that's what I see.
What makes Tyler Warren so good?
Well, I think when we talk about the consistency is the truest measure of performance. I think that's what you see every single week. Really, really good player, and that we got our hands full. Put it that way. But it's the versatility to do so many things, and I think that's when you're looking at Penn State. Penn State has the ability to do a lot of different things, and they do it very consistently. So it's a new wrinkle every single week too. So whether it's 3 different quarterbacks, whether it's unique formations, they're going to give you things you've never seen before. And you're going to have to stop it. And you have to be really disciplined with your eyes. You have to be really good at tackling in space. You've got to play really good up front. But they have weapons everywhere. But that's why you're the 4th-ranked team in the country. I mean, you're really, really good. And you got people everywhere that can make plays. And what make them really difficult to defend is they just rotate guys in and out. I mean, they platoon the D-line, and when they bring in the next D-line, it looks very similar to the D-line that came in before that. They do that with a lot of positions. But it's the consistency of how they play. It's the creativity that they play with, but then it's the ability to give you things you've never seen before and make you do in-game adjustments more than probably any other team.
I know you have a different definition of explosive plays, but in kind of the traditional sense of round numbers, you guys are lacking in some of the biggest explosive plays. How do you look at generating more of those more consistently?
Well, I think last week we didn't have many explosive plays. But you look at Maryland, we had a ton of explosive plays. And, it's both. I think that we've had a lot of explosive plays this year, the way that we've redefined those and what fit us. I think our guys are doing a really good job of making the available plays. But on the other hand, when we don't win the game, like you look at last week when we played, we didn't win some 50-50 plays, 50-50 balls, and they did. That was a difference in the game. We did not win 78% last week, and that's how you lose games. Yeah, and with all that, losing 78%, you still have the ball up in your own zone with 8 minutes to go. But then when we fumble, you're going to lose games in the Big Ten inside your own zone. And we've done that twice inside our own zone this year. One, Michigan got a touchdown. Rutgers got a touchdown. And if you do that, you're not going to win. You're not going to win many games, let alone that game.
From a layman perspective, it looked like you guys had trouble getting to eighth in the first half, but a lot more success in the second half. How much of that was just due to blitzing and bringing more guys versus get winning with 4?
I don't know if it was just that. I think that, they got the ball out of their hand really quickly in the first half. By the time we got to him, ball was already out. They did a lot of quick game stuff with him, and then he had this one progression and took off, and was on the run. So second half, we were able to get to him a little bit more with some pressure, but they were still doing everything they could to get the ball out of his hand really quickly. They weren't going through a lot of reads and progressions, and we just, we didn't play well enough on the deep ball. And that's what hurt us. Ultimately, it's 3 huge plays down the field that we don't make plays on, and they do, and that flips the field, let alone points. It flips the field where now you're going 80, 90 yards on the other side. So a lot of things that were kind of inside that game, but the margin for error is really small, and when you don't make those plays, it turns out to be, at the end result, you look back and say, okay, well, those are the ones that got us.
I believe this is your 8th senior day here, so what sticks out about this group to you?
About the senior group. I said at the beginning of the year, this team's really, really fun to coach. And the teams that are really fun to coach, win or lose, have great leadership at the top. They have great senior mentorship. These guys love football. And whether it's like Max Brosmer, who's been here 1 year, or you look at guys like, guys like Cody Lindenberg, who's getting older, but you start to look at Danny Strighouse, and you start to look at guys like that who have been here a while. They've seen a lot in this program, and they've really been responsible for doing so much, even since the 19 season of what they've been able to take and continue to uphold. So their leadership is really, really critical. Their love for football and love and passion for their life has been really fun to be able to witness over these years. Their energy for each other and their connectivity, their willingness to do it for each other. I mean, these are going to be incredible men, husbands, and fathers, and I think that's what Senior Day is all about. It's not just the end of their football career here at the University of Minnesota at home, but it's really the next chapter and the beginning of whatever they choose to do. And I told you before, the 2 things, the job of a head coach is to get people to love their alma mater, create an experience that's unlike any other, so they want to come back. And then 2, make sure that they get to become who they say they want to become. And all these guys are just being held to a standard of what they said they wanted to become. That's the job of the coaches and the head coach and the culture. Hold them to a standard of what they said they want. And a lot of that has to do with accountability. These guys did that, and I'm really, really proud of them. They've seen a lot of football, and still got a lot of football left to play, but they're a really fun group to coach.
Ariante, it was accepted to the Senior Bowl.
Yeah.
What made him deserving of that?
Well, if you look at Ariante, it's the consistency of being able to start, play, practice, get better. It's simple. He's a really talented athlete. I mean, he's going to blow up, he's going to blow up the numbers at the combine, at his pro day. I mean, this guy is a really, really talented athlete. He's a great person, as a lot of you got a chance to know him through the media, which I think you get a chance to get inside his personality a little bit. But I think it's a consistency. I mean, he started 30, in the higher 30s and, straight games, I think. Is that right? 30-some straight games? 30-some? What's the number? Do we know? Carl? That's all right. Anyway, in the 30s. He never misses practice. I mean, he gets better every single day. But he's a product of just grinding every single day, changing your best. We saw him at camp at Lindenwood. He's 245 pounds, 250 pounds. And he really didn't know much. He hadn't played football very long, but you could see where he was going to go. And it's always a risk because you just never know. There's guys that are 250 pounds, end up being 270 and don't put the work in to gain the weight and in the weight room and aren't dedicated to doing that. He is. And here he is, 335 pounds, one of the best tackles in the country, and he's going to be drafted really high. But the great thing about him is he don't worry about that. If he worried about that, there'd be things throughout his road that'd be like, well, yeah, he had to deal with this and dealt with that, and maybe didn't come back from that as fast enough. I mean, he's as durable as it gets, when you're talking that position. And I'm really proud of him. He's worked really hard on that.
You put on film of Drew Aller. What stands out to you?
I think it's just his growth over the years. You've been able to watch him in different games. The fun thing about when you film studies, you cross over so much with everybody who plays each other, and especially in the new league. He's really, really poised in the pocket. He's big, strong, got a good arm, understands the system. He can run. That's the one thing that, they've got 3 quarterbacks. One's a high school quarterback that's really a tight end who's just to do it all for them. They got another quarterback who can throw it and run it really, really well. And then Drew can do the exact same thing. but they all have different skill sets, and they use them in very different ways. But he's really accurate. He's big, he's strong, he's physical. I think he processes at a higher level than he ever has. I think that's a critical characteristic of being an elite quarterback is how you process, how you get through your reads, how you get to the decisions, how quickly you do that. I think even last night's NFL game showed a lot of that, from Herbert. If you were watching some of that game, and we get a chance to watch some of that in the background and how fast things were happening, meaning he's open, the ball's on him. The distance between somebody being open and the ball being to him, that's a measure of quarterback knowing what he's doing. And I think that he has that trait. You could tell he's coachable, and the team rallies around him.
You talk about the high-end processing that Max has. How important will that be when windows get tighter against number 4 team?
Not only windows are going to get tighter, the pressure is going to be on them a little bit quicker. They're playing, 9, 10 guys on their defensive line. And it's not this. I don't mean this in a bad way, meaning that they're all the same, but you can't tell what platoon group is in because they all are good and they all have special traits. It's not just about number 11 or number 15 or the guys inside. It's not about just all of them. It's about how they can rotate guys in. This is one of the healthiest defenses we've played. You look top to bottom, you look in that little injury box that we get at the beginning of the week, and there's not many of them. But they're not playing, 75 snaps a game. They're rotating and platooning, and they're not missing a beat when they're platooning these guys in. Very, very aggressive, very good tacklers. You could talk about how athletic they are and how good of a recruiting job James has done over his tenure. And he is very consistent in what he does. But what I love about watching his groups are they're really good at the small things. Yes, they have a ton of talent. But can you get that ton of talent to do the little things really well? The blocking, the tackling, the way they tackle, the situational football piece, understanding all that, and they do a really good job of that. So that's a direct reflection of their coaching staff and James and what he's always got his group to be able to do. But yeah, we've got to play really, really good, sound football, which we have throughout the year. We just got to put it all together in all 3 areas for 4 quarters. That's going to be critical for us. I don't think that's hard for anybody to understand. I know that we're going to get their best shot. There's a top 4 team fighting for a top 4 spot in the college football playoff and a Big Ten championship. Like, they're fighting for that. So we're going to get their best shot. We've got to play our best football of the year. That's simple.
PJ, 2019, one of your high points of your career was the win over Penn State. They're in the top 5.
Yeah.
What can you take from that game and apply to this one?
Well, it happened. You can take that it happened. I think that when you talk about somebody trusting what you're doing and how you're doing it, you need time, consistency, and proof. The win in 2019, they were ranked 4th in the country, but that has nothing to do with the 2024 season. It really doesn't, Randy. The things we take from it is a lot of them weren't even here. Some of them didn't even know that, right? Because they're somewhere else 4 years ago, and so much has happened in their lives. But what you can do is you can pull from really, really, really big games of what playmakers have done. And I think that's always critical, is we need our best playmakers to play their best. Penn State's going to need their playmakers to be their best. That's what happens in November football. And when you can show your own playmakers over the years, making plays in huge games, huge moments in November, you want to be able to show them that. And we spent time doing that a little bit yesterday. But then we took from it what we needed to take from it and moved on. And since then, that's 5 years ago, done a lot in the program since then. So, but it's going to be a 1-game season. It's going to be 60 minutes. We got to be at our best, period.
Dinkytown athletes completed their $1 million match. How important is that for your program over these next 6 weeks?
I think it's incredibly important. I can't tell you how excited I am about the outpouring of support we've had through NIL, through Dinkytown athletes, what they've done to be able to help, our program, our donors, our fans. We've had a bunch of other donors step up and even hopefully continue to do other matches as we continue to go forward, because that's critical. And when you look at the top of where people are, I don't think it's any secret when people sit there and say, those guys spend a lot of money on their rosters. That's true. And you're still going to have the salary cap, which is fine. The salary cap's going to bring a little bit of parity through the salary cap amongst college football, at least the top 2 conferences. but there's still this NIL thing, right? That doesn't have a limit of parity or what you have to be able to spend on football. So you have the salary cap for next year, but the NIL, this unlimited NIL, and I know they have the anything over $600 has to go through the clearinghouse. That's fine. That doesn't mean people can't be paid over $600. That's just some rules and regulations with it, but that can go up to is whatever you want it to go up to. And I'm just really proud of our fans and our donors and the people who support our program of seeing, what college football is becoming and how we can retain our players. That's going to be everything, is retaining our players. And we can do that. And those talks have already started to happen. And then you've got to go out in the portal and get some holes that you're going to need to fill for the next 25 season. And then you have high school recruiting. I mean, those are the three buckets that you have to be able to keep pouring into. And when you start looking at those numbers, they might seem big, but over 105 players, and then you're looking at those three buckets. I mean, you look at the teams that are at the top. I mean, they're spending a lot of money, which is good. That's what it's going to come down to.
Time for one or two more for Coach? How would you characterize just the improvement in NIL here at Minnesota this year compared to last?
Well, from this year to last year, I mean, it's way more. It's way more. Now, again, way more is it's a very subjective word of how you want to look at that, but it's way more. And as we continue to go forward, we just have to continue to find ways to be able to fill those three buckets. And for me, as we continue to get more, we can do more with more. Simple. But the outreach and the support have been improving throughout the years. And again, like I said, I can't thank our people enough for doing that. So it's especially with the gifts that we're getting that are the matching gifts. And we'll continue to hopefully get some of those where we can, hopefully get around, the doubled mark and then continue to double it every single year. I mean, that's what you want to be able to do. But you're going to need a lot of support for that to happen.
How important will the atmosphere be at home to host this final home game?
I mean, I love our atmosphere in November here at Huntington Bank Stadium. The bank's going to be rocking. I know that. This is a team we're playing that, and they're playing whiteouts at home, and they have 107,000 people at home games, something like that. But we have to create an environment that's like that, but the opposite side for them. And they've played in hostile environments. We played in hostile environments, but we need our fans to be where everybody should be on Saturday afternoon, and that's here at Huntington Bank Stadium. I mean, what a great environment with the number 4 team coming into the country. The Gophers being bowl eligible already, fighting for placements in that. It's supposed to be a beautiful day, a little crisp bite in the air. I think it'll be a wonderful environment for people to come out, and I think our fan support is absolutely critical in this game, and how exciting it is to be able to have that type of environment and that type of game. I know both teams aren't undefeated like 19, but it's going to have that type of feel, once we get in that stadium, and I know our fans will be there, and they've done a great job all year. Our fans have been amazing all year, and this is the last one, coming out and supporting our seniors. That's going to be really, really important. The last time a lot of our fans at home get to watch some of the best players that ever played here. And I think that's really, really important for our fans to know and support. It's not just coming to that game with Penn State. It's really showing those seniors the support that they need and the appreciation that we've all had, not just fans but coaches, for all the work that they've put in and over the last 4 years of making Minnesota what it is. So can't wait to see all of them there. That's for sure. Appreciate everybody. Row the boat, Sky Ma, go Gophers.